Welch.
Thank you very much. You know, the question of safety is obviously incredibly important. The question of cost is also very important. And my understanding is that right now, when you're making assessments of safety, your focus solely is on the safety and not on cost. And I know some of my colleagues think that you should be responsible to make a cost-benefit analysis as you're considering safety factors. I'm a skeptic of that. I think that decision should be made after the recommendation is made. And I just want you to comment on that, because both are legitimate concerns, but I think all of us here would agree that safety has to be paramount. So if there is a proposal that you would have to do, your agency would have to make the cost-benefit analysis, how would that affect safety?
Significantly. The NTSB is founded on safety. Our entire mission is safety. We don't consider cost-benefit of any particular recommendation. It's a recommendation, 80% of which are adopted acceptably, voluntarily by the recipients, which shows a pretty high success rate as it is. What I will say, when it comes to our recommendations, the recipients have a choice. You either implement them or you don't. It's a recommendation. It's not a requirement. We hope you do, but it's certainly a recommendation. What I will say, the regulator, if they choose to take on one of our recommendations and it requires a regulation, they go through cost-benefit analysis. That is their authority. Listen, so I have heard this a number of times. The NTSB's mandate is to save lives. So if I am out there, if our investigators and I are out there at a particular scene of a terrible, terrible tragedy, can you imagine if we do an entire investigation based on facts and then have to sit there and determine, oh, what is economically feasible that would prevent this from happening again? That's terrible. What the public deserves, what you deserve, is to know what would prevent it from happening again. What would prevent that tragedy from reoccurring? Then you can decide. You can consider that recommendation and determine whether you should move that forward.
Well,
so the public deserves to know what is right. What is the right thing to do? Also, I'll just mention, if we ever had to do cost-benefit analysis, it would take another year to even issue another report. So talk about timeliness. That goes right out the window.
Well, thank you. I do agree with that. I also think that where there are cost issues, then you've got to look to the manufacturer to figure out a better way to do it and maintain safety. So it would be an inappropriate shifting of the burden on your organization that is committed to safety. If we impose that obligation on you, be a real conflict. Another question.
Can I just add? Also, sure. Why should we evaluate the safety of what an industry, the economics of if we issue a recommendation to an entity that was part of an event, why should we consider what is feasible or cost effective for them to implement? Right. Versus what's right. So I agree with you, Senator. Thank you very much for that question.
Well, thank you. Just, I know you've been asked a lot about Boeing, but let me ask you this. How can Congress support the NTSB efforts to enhance the agency's understanding of Boeing's quality and safety management system as we consider NTSB reauthorization?
The NTSB has a lot of authority that we can use in our investigations. We certainly have subpoena authority, and we're not afraid to use it if we need to. We hope it doesn't come to that. We hope that we can get cooperative participation, whether it's our interviews or working with the parties to our investigation. But it does concern us that we don't have certain information we should have today. With that said, we have the ability to get that information. I will say one thing about the NTSB and reauthorization and funding for us is that when a major occurs, that becomes number one for us. But say our structural engineer on this one, he handles 50 to 20 cases a year. What happens to those other 15 to 20 cases? They get moved aside so we can focus on 1282. People died in those other 15 to 20 cases. This is why we need personnel. This is why we need to ensure their training, and why we need to ensure that we're investing in every mode and every office of the agency, including our critical lab equipment.
Thank you very much. I yield back, Madam Chair.
I think we need to, I think the prompting of that question might be the delay in a real SMS system. And I think some people may, in the past, have articulated that a cost-benefit analysis of that made it, I don't know what the right word is, but that you could go with a lesser SMS system, a non-real SMS system.
Oh, no, you have to have a robust safety management system to ensure safety.
So I think his comments in asking this question weren't as much directed towards the NTSB doing a safety system analysis, but this perception that a real SMS never got implemented because people argued on the cost-benefit analysis. I agree with you. Our ANCSA report, legislation we passed, mandated a real SMS. And so we are waiting for that to happen, and we are going to hold the FAA accountable to make sure that it is implemented.
Understood. Thank you.
So there's no substitute for that. My colleague from Georgia.